Hey, everybody, it's Ashley and Gus.
Hello.
Welcome to whatever today is. We thought
Hump
today,
day.
hump day. We thought today that we would talk about something sparked in my. We were having a meeting this morning and something sparked about a job I used to have. I was like, oh man, that was terrible. And we thought about, let's go live on, have you ever had a bad job? What'd you do about it? So what do you do if you have a bad job, a bad boss, a bad manager?
Like you got in there and it's just not quite the fit that you thought.
I've had
You've had a lot of jobs. I've had a lot of
I've had a lot of
jobs.
jobs. I had
Yeah.
so one that comes to mind. I actually worked at a place for one day. I won't even say I worked there.
I think I remember
I
this
walked
story.
I walked in. It was a car dealership, and I got there, I had interviewed a couple times, and I got there, and they gave me they sat me down, and they said somebody will be with you in a minute,
Oh my
and
God.
literally I must have asked 10 times and nobody addressed me all day. So at 5 o'clock, I left. I didn't even fill out any paperwork or anything.
Like
Nothing.
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 Somebody will be with you.
Nothing.
You sat there all day.
And just like ask like every half hour or so, like, hey, is somebody, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I remember it was
Okay.
on Monday.
Did
That could
anybody
be
ever call you after that?
no,
Nothing.
zero. Nothing.
Nothing.
I
They
didn't.
just assumed you were.
I don't
a
even know if they knew.
no-show?
I don't even know if they knew my
Were
name.
you in the right office?
I didn't even know if they knew my name.
Okay.
But I sat there all day, so I
Oh
didn't
my
come.
God.
I didn't go back the next day.
Yeah,
Obviously.
really. Why?
How about yourself?
I've never had that happen to me. But I've definitely gotten into some jobs where once I got in, I realized like, I don't really like this, or I don't really know what I'm doing, or the training wasn't very good, and I was afraid to ask questions, and like it just didn't go well. And then I was saying to Gus earlier too, like I've had jobs that I absolutely loved, but I hated or just did not get along with my boss or bosses, and it was just like, okay, how do you do this, right? How do you do something that you're really passionate about, and then but you're sort of doing it for somebody that you can't stand, or how do you figure out like how to work with them if you're
Yeah.
just feeling like it's total
I mean,
goofy,
it's kind of funny.
very dramatic.
One of the most
One of them was
unusual
very
positions I
dramatic.
was in, and I'm not going to mention what company it was. My
Yeah, I'm not
boss,
either.
my boss, my direct report, who I direct reported to, disliked the position that I held. His big manager loved me in the role,
Mm-hmm.
and my direct report and I were actually good friends. We actually did stuff together outside of the
Outside
office,
of the office,
but inside
that's
the office, he
crazy.
hated. Yeah, it was a really.
I love you, hate you.
I
Yeah,
was
that's
the thing was I was probably making 3 times what he was making,
um,
and that's probably part of the
so it was
role.
him, not you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, and I love the guy,
Oh,
dude. I
good.
loved him
I
and his
want to like
family.
get
We
along
had
with
we had a
you.
great relationship, and we
Uh,
participated in the sport. But anyway, so what do you
yeah.
do if you get in a position?
Yeah, I would say this. Like looking back, I mean, Gus and I have talked about this over the years about different jobs that we've had, and one of the things that he talks about, I never did, and I wish I had.
I was going to
So,
say
do
this
you
real
want to
quick.
talk about
I'm
it a
going to talk
little
about a
bit?
job later. One
All
of the
right.
worst job I had. I'll tell you. I'll tell you the story a little bit later in the cat broadcast here, but it it involved guns, and the second time guns were involved,
The second time,
I quit. Yeah, and
because the first time didn't feel weird enough.
yeah, the first time. But anyway,
I didn't have guns to deal with, but
so first of all, you got to evaluate what the problem is. You got to evaluate the source of your frustration. Is it the job itself that is just horrible? I worked in production one time I worked in production for a few years and mindless, terrible.
okay,
Put
like
this
it just wasn't.
same thing,
So
same thing for
did
12 hours.
So did you know in advance that that's what the job was, but you just didn't know
It
what
didn't happen
like,
every day.
Okay, got it.
It was like once
Okay.
once or twice a week that would happen, and I would just like the other good
I'll
parts of
suck
the
it up.
job. I'll suck it
Yeah.
up, and I was making.
Okay.
I mean, I was making more than
You were making good money.
it was 40 years
Okay.
ago, and I was making more than what the minimum wage is now in Pennsylvania.
There you
So
go.
just
All
just to
right.
know,
But
it was a
still.
very good paying job. But those bad days were coupled with fantastic days, and I
Yeah.
loved the both of them. So
Well, that's good.
So, first off,
Yeah, you got to find out, like, okay, what is it about this that's not working? Is it that, like, the job itself is not something that I want to do, or I didn't understand what it would be like, or I've never done this before, so I didn't know if I'd like it or not? Because that was a lot of the situations that I was in. I was like I went into retail. I worked at a department store. Remember those?
Jesus.
And I was like, oh, it must be so glamorous to
Yeah.
work in retail. Yeah. And so my mom's like, okay, yeah, get a job in it. And she had worked in retail. And then I'm like, okay, this isn't terribly glamorous at all. But I learned, right? I learned what it took to make that hourly wage.
Yeah.
I understood, I learned about it, and it was important to do that. So yeah, not every job is going to be the best job, and it's okay. And entry level jobs are okay to have in the entry, and then move up, move over. So
Yeah, 100%.
but you
So,
gotta, like, figure out first, like, is it the actual work that you're doing that you just don't
I
like?
mean, it could be
And
the work, it could be the environment, it could be the managers, it
right.
could be
I
the
mean, it could be
co-workers, it
like,
could be
I
the
love
commute.
retail, but I hate the products that I'm selling, or,
It,
so I should be in a
it
different
could be the
department,
commute.
or I have, yeah, it
Like
could be the
today's commute
commute.
could be like from the bedroom to get breakfast and then to the place where you're
There you
going to work.
go.
And maybe you hate your house. And that's a situation.
Anywho.
Anyway, talk to someone you trust. I mean, if you're in a
Yeah.
situation like this and you need to evaluate the situation, talk to a third party. We're gonna do this one day. Maybe we'll do this next
When are we
Thursday.
going to do this?
You incorporate it. We're going to talk about you
Yes.
incorporate it. You're your own boss and the boss and the manager of your life. You're in charge of your life and everything that happens to it. So run that you through other people and learn, like, get some feedback. What would you tell someone else in the same position?
Exactly. So one of the things that we've been talking about a lot recently with some friends of ours who are in situations that they're not happy about is, what advice would you give yourself if you were talking to a different friend? Like, what would you tell them they should do? Like, think about that, and then answer your own question in terms of what you think you should do. You should talk to people that you trust. Talk to people who know you. I had people who told me, who warned me in advance, like, I don't see you doing that. And I was like, oh, why not? Like, I thought they were sort of slighting me when they said it. And then when I got in the position, I was like, oh,
I'll tell you.
yeah,
I'll tell you.
yeah, they were right. Why didn't I listen to them? But again, I needed to learn. Go
And
ahead.
there's some notoriously, like, they seem like really cool jobs
Yeah.
until you get there.
And you're like, oh
Working
my
for a major league
God.
sports team,
Ooh.
unless you're the talent on the field or a manager managing the talent, or part of the, like, the ball boy, ball girl, the
The
bat,
fun stuff.
the fun stuff,
It's
and
not all
sometimes they don't
fun
pay.
stuff. Yeah.
Usually the pay is lower and the conditions are difficult. You can say, "Oh my God, I worked for, name your team, New York Yankees." Whoever it was that you were working for. I was a ski instructor. I only got paid when I instructed, and I probably only instructed 4 hours a day. So at the end of the day, I got the ski free, but I was probably losing about $15 a shift working. But it was probably, or she says it only cost me about $15 for food to eat
There
when I
you
worked
go.
there at the end of the day. But
Nice.
it was fun. But you're never going to get rich doing that. You're never going to.
Sure. And then it's not necessarily, especially when you're starting out your career, it's not necessarily all about getting rich. You don't know what you're good at because you've not done
This way.
anything.
I'll,
Right?
I'll pull the get the rich out of it.
Okay.
You're not going to pay the bills.
Yes,
Even if you're
no.
living with someone, you're not going
Well,
to
that's it.
pay
I
your
mean,
bills doing that.
You gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I think the most potent advice. So I had a job that I absolutely adored.
Uh-huh.
I loved every piece of it except my boss.
Okay.
And I had a manager. I had a manager, and then I had the manager's manager, who was the president of the company. And I thought I really liked her. We had met personally a few times, and then when I got into the office environment, she was just cutting me down all the time, and I'm like, dang, like, really? And what I kind of kick myself for now is, like, I could have done something to, or I should have tried to do more, I think, to sort of win her over. I was trying to do everything that she wanted me to do, but it just wasn't coming together. And then finally, I had to pull the plug. I was just like, you know what? I'm miserable. I was
Right.
complaining about it all the time. I could not stop whining about it to anybody who would listen. And I
So,
started eating like I was
you're
eating
looking for something else to be
junk
satisfying.
food. I was just like, oh,
You're spending a
it is. I
majority of
was
your
spending a
day,
lot of my
of your
day.
waking hours doing
Yeah,
this, and if it's down, if it's depressing, or you don't want to be there, it could be
it
hard.
was. It was
So
ugly. So yeah, no,
let's look
I
back, move
mean,
forward. So you evaluate the situation, find out what it is you don't like, what's going on. Number two, try to improve the situation. Talk to your manager, unless your manager is the problem. If there is,
even if your manager is the problem, see what you can do to learn what's important to your manager, understand their goals, and understand what your role is in them achieving their goals.
yeah,
I think that would have been very helpful for me. I would have
yeah, both.
perhaps
So
done something
I'll talk about that
differently.
job that I quit. I actually worked there like 31 days. I remember, and
Wow,
then I quit because
you fascinate me.
anyway. Well, it
Well,
was.
what happened?
Well,
Okay, go
I'll
ahead.
tell you. I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, then let's go number three. Consider your
Okay,
options. Give it time. You know, all new
you never
things. You never
know.
know.
It might get better.
From what we've been, we work with some mentors. Mentors tell us a new employee needs 6 months before they become effective in their job and start producing at the level you need them to produce at. They have to learn stuff, especially from outside the company. Inside the company, if it's a stepping stone to the next position, which often happens,
Mm-hmm.
you have to suck it up.
Stick it out.
You gotta stick
You
it
gotta
out. It's like
stay.
going to
You
college. I
gotta
mean,
just do the grind.
there's classes you don't like. You gotta take them.
I did.
And
I did have a position where I was working for a firm that the position that I got the job for, I did not like. I did not enjoy. But I realized that I needed to just. It wouldn't be bad for me to just stay and learn.
right,
So I did end up leaving that because I didn't see a path to success for anybody, and I figured they were probably going to fire me anyway. So, but yeah, that was a good thing
yeah.
too.
So next, so give some time. Next,
Yeah, start your job search. Start looking.
never
What
too
else is
late.
out
Yeah, what
there?
else is out there? The amount of time people start and leave today, especially, it's so crazy.
So
Uh,
back in the day, I mean, back when I wasn't happy with the position, I was just like, this is not good. This is not healthy for me to stay in this position. And my parents were like, "Oh no, man, you got to stay for like 2 years. You can't just jump ship, or you're going to have all these different positions on your resume." And I'm like, so. Why would it be good for anybody for me to only, like this doesn't make sense. I can't do
so
this. So
uh,
I left.
you can also use your time to develop your skills. I had this at a job.
Yeah.
I had this at a
Oh
job.
my god, I love this
My
story.
hands are. We were brought in as a cleanup crew. There was a company took over another
So
company.
for those of us who take everything literally, can you say that a different way?
Yeah, so this company bought
Guess as a
another
recruiter.
company, and a person I worked for during the earlier dot com era, he was a turnaround specialist. So he brought me and about five other people into the company to realign the company with the values of the new owners.
How'd that go?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there was the existing team and the new team, and we didn't have all the power. And the new owner, I'm not going to say they played each other against each other, but he didn't know what was going on. He knew
Oh
nothing
dear.
about the business. So our hands were tied constantly. And we were an online and in person training company for Microsoft and Adobe, Harvard business,
Like extension.
Harvard Extension, MIT
Right.
Extension. So I realized there was nothing was going to happen. And they were paying me a lot of money to work there, but we couldn't do
You
anything.
couldn't really do
We were
anything.
just, our
So what'd
hands
you
were
do?
tied. So
You took the
I took classes. I
classes.
sat there 8 hours a day and took classes.
I'm like,
I got
wow,
certified in so many different things.
that
I
is
should put them all on
brilliant.
my LinkedIn. I keep telling you, I
You
should have
really
put them all on my
should.
LinkedIn, but I took the Harvard Business Schools. I took the MIT classes. I learned to Photoshop through
You're an
that time.
educated guy.
Yeah, I just kept taking classes. I was joking because we would sit there and like, hey, look, got another certification, got another improvement. We said because we were teaching like 2,200 different
Oh
programs.
my gosh.
Oh, it was crazy.
So you
Anyway,
could just Monday through Friday just hit another one, hit another one, hit another
that's
one.
what we
hit another
did.
one. That's great.
That's what we did. We learned a
That's
lot.
brilliant. Honestly,
And I got funding from that. I got funding to go on my own.
well, there you go.
And that was the last time I worked for somebody, I think.
Ta-da.
So anyway,
one of the things, if you're in a position that you're not happy with, either because it's you, it's not a good fit, it's your coworkers are awful, or your management is bad. Whatever you do, there are definitely some things that you should do while you're still there, and that is document everything. If your manager is behaving unprofessionally or unfairly, keep a record of the incidents. Be really specific. This could be particularly helpful if you need to escalate the issue to HR.
Right.
Somebody may say, "Hey, Ashley's not doing what she's supposed to do." I'm Ashley. Ashley's not doing what she's not supposed to do. And then I can say, well, this happened, this happened, this happened, and this happened. And in some cases, you don't want to wait to talk to an HR person about it. You want to maybe get in there early. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I got to get to my story in a minute. But let's.
Okay.
The reason the place I worked for 31 days, and then and because there were a couple of gun incidences, I left, and it was actually a professional place, and I just can't believe that I left there, or I didn't stay there. Anyway,
you need to also take care of your mental health.
Yes.
This was probably the biggest issue that I had, because at first I was also like a mess over like, am I doing it wrong? What am I doing wrong? Am I doing something wrong? Like maybe this just isn't the right fit for me, and I should just let off.
I think, and I will say just, there's cultural. There's different cultures in different companies.
Yes.
If you're hired too easily, it might be because the culture is toxic. Hate to say that. That could be a toxic culture.
It could be. Just take care of number one, because if you don't take care of number one, you won't be able to handle anything else.
And then the other additional thing you do, you know your net worth. Know what you're worth, but really know what you're worth. Don't say that, oh, because I got this degree, I should be getting paid $150,000 a year. What are you worth in that position to the company? And it might be hard to define.
Right.
But understand what's your value to the company.
And don't let it define you, right? Remember your skills, remember your experience. And don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. And being right in this situation is not the goal. Getting yourself into a good fit in a place where you can flourish.
Yeah. So when I hear about this job, so I worked. Yeah,
tell us about the job.
I owned car lots. I had 3 car lots at one time in my life, and through some changes in my home life and things like that, I had to dissolve the 3 businesses, and it was all good. It was all good. So I decided to put myself on the market as a used car salesperson moving into management position. You still make a lot of money back in the day doing that. So I went to work for this company that had 5 locations. They were located in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. And their way of doing business was they were about an hour and 10-minute drive from New York City. So they'd have these people come down and bring these, they called them bird dogs. These guys would come down in a car, and they'd bring New Yorkers down to Pennsylvania to buy better cars. And the goal was to take the people off the lot you were on and bring them to another lot, and they wouldn't let the people leave that lot until they bought a car. Or they wouldn't bring them back to the original lot unless they were buying a car. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's just not
everything against my business practice.
Nobody wants to be treated that
everything
way.
Against.
So now you're expected to do
literally that. One day, I was only there 31 days. Like my second week there, I have these 2 guys, and they were with a motorcycle gang, and they were dressed in full leathers, and they were looking at a Corvette that I had. and a Corvette was in the back shop, and we had closed. We had closed. We were done.
Like you were done
It
for
was
the
like
day.
9:30 at night, and we
Oh
were
my
done.
gosh.
And we go back there, and I'm showing this guy the vet, the guy who's obviously the one the purchaser. He was going to buy cash. And he had cash on him.
Okay.
And he literally said, "Gus, is this a good car?" And as he did that, he pulled back his leathers, and he had two 9mm sitting in his belt.
Mm.
And I looked at him straight in the eye, and I forget the guy's name. And I said, "Don't buy the car." And he basically grabbed my hand, said, "Thank you very much. You're an honest man. Have a good day." And he left. But literally showing me guns on this car. So
Oh my God.
the day before I left, no, the last shift I worked, let's put it that way.
That was your last shift?
No, it wasn't my last shift. So that was nothing. That was like,
Okay. That was not okay.
I handled that situation.
All right. So what happened?
They had brought these guys down from New York, and they left them on our lot. And they wouldn't take him back to the car. And the guy and his wife are screaming at the top of their lungs. Remember, it was like a Tuesday night. "Take me back to my car." And he's MFing. And finally, the guy pulls a.
This is before the days of Uber.
He pulls a revolver out of his belt, and he fires all 6 shots in the air. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I'm done. This is it. This is like.
No. Yeah.
At the time, I owned my own guns, and I don't think I ever pulled them out for anything. And here I am working this place, and I see 3 guns. I see 3 guns. 2 happen to be with the same person, but I saw 3 guns in less than 30 days.
It's interesting.
And I just didn't come back. I'm like, guys,
we're not, and I'm so glad that you did. We're not. I won't go long with this, but the person that I worked for, the boss's boss, who I just didn't get along with, she expected me to like use people in my job, and I'm like, that's just not who I am. That's not the way that I cultivate relationships. Like, no, I'm not treating people this way.
Yeah.
And so that's when I knew
there's one thing
I should probably leave.
There's one thing about hating a job. There's a second thing when the job's going against your own morals, and and my morals can be.
And I didn't see that coming. I mean, I interviewed with her. She interviewed with me. I assumed total alignment. And then when I walked in and they were like, "You should do this, you should do this." I'm like, well, wait a minute. No, that's not how that should work. And I was open to seeing it in a different way, but then I was still like, no, that's flat out using people. So no.
And flat out, me taking that job and then leaving it was my own fault. I didn't investigate enough. I didn't look hard enough. I didn't do whatever I had to do to do my due diligence.
It's so much easier now.
It's way easier today. It's way easier today.
There's so many more places that you can go to find stuff out. But anyway, we were somehow going to loop this back into our conference.
Oh, the change management conference. No, because the whole reason we were doing this was change management conference, because the change management job is to maybe sometimes put into place things that the employees don't want to do, or it's a different way of doing things. Nobody likes change.
So,
nobody likes change.
So what with that one's really, it's like if you're at a company and they're like, okay, we know you know how to use the computer system, but we're getting a new computer system. And so whatever, all of the tasks are going to be completely different, and you're going to have to learn a different system or an upgrade to a system or something like that. And that's when organizations use change management to help the end user of these, learn the new way to do it and understand why they need to learn a new way to do it. Because a lot of people are like, dude, I've been doing this for 30 years, the same way every single day. Don't make me change. But it's like, no, we have to upgrade to this new system. And
a good employee might be just doing the same thing for 30 years. And then you ask them to change, and they're like their job's on autopilot. But it's a symbiotic relationship between the company and the person. And now the person's dealing with possibly an elderly parent that needs help, or children needs help.
That's it. Learning something new is hard, and it's hard for all of us. And it's a muscle, right? Learning something new is a muscle.
It is.
So when you're in a situation where the people who you work with need to learn something new, and you have to be the person to come in and say, "Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. Hey, I'm here to teach you how to use this, or we need to use this, and this is why we're using this, because we want to become better at what we do, and all of these technologies are changing. We have to change too." It gets hard. One change is no big deal, but when you have multiple changes, it can people just feel really uncomfortable.
Well, we call it
right?
in change management. The conference we're working on change management for utilities. Change fatigue is one of the things that are
oh my
affecting
god,
the
I have to learn a
change.
new process
The
for
what they call
this,
it,
and
the
then I'm gonna
OCM. The office
organizational change
the
management. Yes.
one of the things that's affecting that so much is the change fatigue and
How many
how
change
many people.
projects can you take on as a human being and remember all the new steps and all of the new processes and all of the
Yeah, I
new
mean,
reporting
you could be bringing
procedures
in a new
and
CIS system, could be bringing in new computers. Oh yeah, and we're moving your office, and now you got a different parking procedure, and you need new
what?
badges to get in the office, and
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, this whole thing with HR is going to change completely, and you're just like, what?
yeah.
And then you feel like you're working for almost a completely different company.
And you know what's really funny? The people who work in change management, the people who help put these places, I mean,
It changes in place. Yeah.
they're angels. I mean,
Oh.
they're doing this, and
Oh my god.
they don't like change either.
Yeah. Yeah, but they have to leave their own stuff at the door. But they're like, okay, I'm here to help you, right? So
Yeah.
we gather these folks, the folks, leadership and utilities, change management, process excellence, process improvement. They all come to the Utility Change Conference, which is going to be in St. Pete Beach, Florida, March 4th and 5th. Utilityevents.com. Check it out, and you'll learn more about the conference and reach out to us if you have any questions. And if you have a great story about a job that you just didn't love,
Put in the comments again. You know, we'll feature you, bring you on here. Let's talk about it.
put in the comments, and the next time we go live, we'll be able to pull you in and
Yep.
have a chat.
Hey, thank you everybody for spending some time with us this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you again soon, probably tomorrow.
Bye.